For decades, North Korea has stood as one of the most enigmatic and controversial players on the world stage. Isolated, secretive, and heavily militarized, the country has pursued policies that consistently challenge international norms. The discovery of what is being described as a secret missile base, one that potentially poses a nuclear threat to the United States, is not just another line in the long story of North Korea's defiance. It is a reminder of how fragile the balance of global security truly is. To understand the significance of this revelation, we must examine not only the technical and military aspects of such a development, but also the political, historical, and strategic dimensions that surround it. The notion of North Korea building, maintaining, and hiding military facilities is not new. This is a state that has perfected the art of secrecy. The regime has for decades understood that its survival depends not on openness, but on concealment, surprise, and deterrence. Each time the world thinks it has a clear picture of Pyongyang's capabilities, new information surfaces that changes the equation. The report of a hidden missile base falls precisely into this pattern. It raises critical questions. How advanced is this facility? What kind of missiles could it house? And what does this mean for the security of the United States and its allies? When we speak of a potential nuclear threat, it is important to clarify what that actually entails. North Korea has already tested nuclear devices and demonstrated missile systems capable of reaching intercontinental ranges. What this base may represent is not necessarily a leap in capability, but a reinforcement of existing power, a strategic insurance policy. By dispersing and concealing its missile sites, North Korea makes it much harder for any adversary to neutralize its arsenal in a single strike. This is the essence of deterrence, ensuring survivability. Even if one base is destroyed, others may remain operational. In the logic of nuclear strategy, this is not just a technical maneuver, but a political message. It signals to Washington, Seoul, and Tokyo that Pyongyang cannot be easily disarmed. The United States has long struggled with how to approach North Korea. Over the years, strategies have ranged from sanctions and maximum pressure to negotiations and high-level summits. Yet the core problem remains unresolved. North Korea does not appear willing to give up its nuclear weapons. For the regime, these weapons are not bargaining chips, but lifelines that guarantee survival against what it perceives as hostile external powers. From Pyongyang's perspective, recent global events, whether in Ukraine or the Middle East, only reinforce the belief that nuclear arms are the ultimate insurance against foreign intervention. This latest revelation of a secret base must be seen through this broader lens. It is not just a technical update. It is a reaffirmation of North Korea's grand strategy. By maintaining undisclosed sites, the regime ensures that its adversaries remain uncertain, and uncertainty breeds caution. For the United States, this complicates military planning. Any consideration of preemptive action becomes far riskier when the full extent of the opponent's arsenal is unknown. But beyond the strategic level, there is also the question of timing. Why now? Why does this report surface at this particular moment? Some observers argue that North Korea's moves are carefully calibrated to influence international negotiations. Pyongyang may be sending a signal not only to Washington, but also to Beijing and Moscow, reminding all major powers that it remains a factor that cannot be ignored. Others see it as part of an internal dynamic attempt by the leadership to demonstrate strength to its own people, reinforcing the narrative of defiance and resilience against outside threats. The geopolitical implications are profound. For South Korea and Japan, two nations already within range of North Korea's conventional and nuclear capabilities, the revelation of yet another base underscores the urgency of defense preparedness. These allies depend heavily on U.S. security guarantees. The credibility of those guarantees is central to regional stability. If North Korea is expanding its hidden missile infrastructure, questions inevitably arise. Can the U.S. effectively protect its allies? How reliable is the promise of deterrence in an age of secrecy and surprise? China, too, plays a critical role. While Beijing does not want a nuclear-armed North Korea destabilizing the region, it also does not want regime collapse on its doorstep. This has created a paradox in Chinese policy. On the one hand, China supports international calls for denuclearization. On the other hand, it provides economic lifelines to Pyongyang, ensuring the regime's survival. The existence of a secret base complicates this balancing act. It highlights that North Korea's nuclear trajectory is unlikely to be reversed by outside pressure alone. China's calculus is therefore pragmatic: contain instability, prevent war, and avoid. For Russia, the picture is different. In an era where Moscow is increasingly estranged from the West, its relationship with Pyongyang has taken on renewed importance. The revelation of North Korea's missile capabilities could serve Russian interests by keeping Washington's strategic focus divided. A world in which the U.S. must pay attention simultaneously to Eastern Europe. The Middle East and the Korean Peninsula is a world where Russia sees greater room for maneuver. Now let us consider the technical dimension. A missile base is not just a storage site. It is a complex ecosystem involving common control systems, logistical support, mobility, and concealment. If this base is indeed designed to house nuclear-capable missiles, the question becomes, what kind? Are we speaking of short-range systems intended to strike nearby targets, or intercontinental missiles that could reach the American mainland? The answer matters greatly. A base holding ICBMs represents a direct challenge to Washington, while one holding medium-range missiles reinforces the threat to U.S. allies in Asia. Both scenarios are destabilizing. But the strategic calculus differs. Another aspect worth analyzing is the psychology of perception. International politics is not only about what states actually possess, but about what others believe they possess. North Korea has long thrived on ambiguity. By cultivating an aura of unpredictability, it enhances its deterrent effect. The existence of a hidden base fits neatly into this playbook. It need not be operational in every sense to have an impact. The mere suspicion of operational readiness is enough to shape foreign policy decisions in Washington, Seoul, and Tokyo. Domestically, the regime benefits as well. The narrative of standing strong against a hostile world is central to North Korean identity. Each revelation of hidden strength, whether real or exaggerated, feeds into the mythology of resilience. It tells the population, we are not weak. We can resist foreign pressure. We can protect ourselves. In authoritarian systems, such narratives are crucial to maintaining legitimacy. Internationally, however, the costs are high. Each time new evidence of nuclear expansion emerges, North Korea further isolates itself. Sanctions tighten, diplomatic space narrows, and the cycle of mistrust deepens. Yet the regime seems willing to accept these costs. For Pyongyang, survival trumps prosperity. Better to be isolated and secure than integrated and vulnerable. So where does this leave the world? The revelation of a secret missile base does not fundamentally alter the trajectory of North Korea's nuclear program, but it sharpens the urgency of the issue. It reminds us that this is not a frozen conflict, but a dynamic one. North Korea is not standing still. It is adapting, expanding, and entrenching its capabilities. For policymakers in Washington, this presents a dilemma. Confrontation risks escalation. Engagement risks legitimizing the regime. Indifference risks allowing the threat to grow unchecked. None of these options are satisfactory. Looking forward, much depends on the interplay between global powers. Will the U.S. and its Allies increase pressure, possibly through enhanced military exercises and missile defense deployments. Will China step up diplomatic engagement, trying to pull Pyongyang back from the brink? Or will North Korea continue down its chosen path, undeterred by sanctions and warnings? These are open questions with no easy answers. What is clear is that the discovery of a hidden base is more than a news headline. It is a symbol of the enduring challenge North Korea poses to international security. It reflects the regime's determination to survive at all costs, the limitations of global diplomacy, and the dangerous realities of a world where nuclear weapons continue to shape the calculations of states. For the average person, these developments may feel distant, abstract, perhaps even routine after so many years of headlines. But they matter deeply. Because in the intricate chessboard of geopolitics, even a small move like the revelation of a secret site can shift the balance of power in unpredictable ways. In the end, the story of North Korea's secret missile base is not just about one country. 'Tis about the vulnerabilities of the international order, the limits of diplomacy, and the dangers of nuclear brinkmanship. It is a reminder that even in an age of technology, communication, and interconnectedness, secret